about home, and it's time to tackle the fitting room floor. So we're gonna go ahead and empty all of this out and we will get started. So let's go ahead and grab a couple of things here and let's empty out this fitting room. We've completely emptied out our fitting room floor. Now we have vacuumed it. Next, we've got to clean it. So for when you're painting any surface, regardless if it's previously painted or what have you, you do need to make sure you have a clean surface, not just vacuumed. This has been walked on before, so it is quite dirty. So I need to get out some cleaner. So we're gonna use a degreaser, and once we degrease it, then we'll come back and rinse off any of the degrease residue, and then we'll get ready to start painting. Our fitting room floor is completely clean, rinsed, and now it's completely dry. So we're ready for our paint color to be applied. Let's go ahead and tilt down here so you guys can see that. Let's see. There we go. So I am using cardboard to sit on or kneel on for comfort. And we are going to start with our paint color. We picked Canapé from Country Chic, and we are going to go ahead and pour it in we've got a disposable tray that we're going to use. It's going to be a little bit easier to, Alright, so something was stuck to my floor, and it'll stay stuck forever because I'm not going to try to figure that out. Alright, we've already shaken this, so now we're going to go ahead and pour this into our container here, and we're probably going to use every bit of it. I also have a paintbrush to get our edges. So let me go ahead and lid this. All right. So we can actually go ahead and start in our corners with our brush. And I'm going to go ahead and get some on these baseboards. They will be painted and glazed as well, but this is where the paintbrush isn't necessarily going to reach. And there's some, we had to put some spray foam in here to kind of build that out a little bit because it was kind of a precarious situation in there. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and put all of your edges. You can cut in just where you're working. Now, a rule of thumb, so if you are having to do this, you want to cut your edges in, but you want to leave these edges wet. So you don't want to cut in the edges of your entire project. So if you do, and those edges dry as you're putting on your paint, and you fill in the rest with a roller, what happens is that those dry layers are now 2 coats of dry paint, technically, and 1 coat everywhere else. So you'll have what they call a halo effect. And it's just because if you cut in or trim out your sections first, the whole piece, and not have wet edges, it'll just be extra thick paint there. So they call it haloing. A lot of times you get that in your wall, when you're doing your walls, because typically the only time you're going to cut in. But if you're doing, let's say, your bathroom floor and you're wanting to stencil it, make something really cool, make sure you keep your edges wet. So like I said, we're just gonna take our brush and have a nice wet edge. So we'll continue to do this until we have the entire floor covered. Our floor is completely painted and now dry. I also painted, there's a small ramp up into the fitting room, so I painted it also with the canopy. And I would like to do a planked floor look. This is plywood. This was just kind of how it is. So this was, like I said, I think I said in a few episodes before, this was an old restroom that was actually built after the house was built. And then it was completely not even used after we've made it into a shop, and we have a bathroom elsewhere. So this was just kind of a room that we used as storage, but now we're using it as a fitting room, and wanted to make it look a little bit better, but also use many different techniques of paint projects and things like that. So I'm going to plank the ramp up. We're going to have what will look like 3 planks going across. So let's go ahead and go down here. All right, so let's see, can you guys see that? All right, so we've already got our T-square out because I just want to measure across. So what I'm going to do now is just take, let's see if we can get you closer. All right, so I'm going to do this at 5-inch increments. So I'm going to start, make sure I'm nice and square. All right, so we're going to make a little mark at the 5 and a little mark at the 10. Okay, so we've got those, and we're using just a brown magic marker. And now we're going to take our square and we're going to go across as far as we can. So we're going to take this, our marker, and go just right across. Now it's not going to go all the way, it's not a big deal. We're going to finish it up on this side, there. A little bit dark right there. All right, so we've got our first plank drawn on our floor. So I don't know if you guys can see that. Yeah, it's faint there, but I can see it. All right, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to wipe the side of my T-square because I don't want to get the magic marker smeared. So let me go ahead and wipe that down and we'll do our next stripe. We're going to continue with the rest of the fitting room using our 6-foot measuring stick, and we're going to use our magic marker, making planks all the way down. We're making them longwise, which is a bit more inviting into this small space. We'll add some accent to make the planks a little smaller like we do on our back wall, so it's going to look a little more authentic. Don't worry, it's not going to look like magic marker when we're done. We're using a very scientific method of measuring the space between our planks. We're taking our bottom of our paint can and lining it up with the edge of our line. We're taking our measuring stick here and putting it right next to my paint can. So that's how we're measuring how wide we want our stripes. So just very scientific, you guys. Just makes it easier for me that I don't have to really, it doesn't really matter if it's perfect or not to me. So this gives me a nice precise line all the way down. So then we'll take our marker and we'll go ahead. I actually step on this and then we'll take our marker all the way down. Again. And it's just a few inches shy of our entire floor. So we just take our stick and bring it right up to where we've already lined it up. And we just finish it out. Boom. So now we have our planks. So we'll continue that. And what we'll do for our cross stripes to make smaller planks in here, we'll take our T-square and just make smaller random hashes across, and then you'll be done. So when we're finished, we'll show you what we're going to do next. Trust the process. All right, you guys, so I'm going to show you real quick what I mean by my planks going the other direction, just in case. So scan down here. So we've got our planks going from front to back. They're about 6 inches, give or take. Of course, you know, we did our handy measuring there. So now I'm going to do is, of course, 6-foot planks are possible, but I don't want them all to be 6 foot. So I'm going to take a few planks and let's see, I'm going to use my T-square to help me make sure I've got it all lined up. I'm just going to make some smaller planks here and there. So I'm going to take my magic marker and just make a mark. So this is going to make my break in the piece. So let's do another one on this side so you can see a little bit better. Okay, so we're gonna do, this one's already got 2 planks on it, so we're gonna do 2 planks, long plank, got it, so 2 planks, 1 long plank, and then we'll do a 2 planker. So this one will be the 2 plank. So I'm gonna take my marker and just go all the way across. All right, so now we've got our extra little planks here. So we've got long planks here, small plank, okay? So I'm gonna do a couple more and then we'll move right along. Now that we have our striping done on the floor, making it look like planks, roughly, we're gonna go ahead and go with our glaze. We're using the Country Chic Smoky Quartz Glaze. It's a very dark brown. Now, what we wanna do on the floor is make it look like darker wood floors, not as light as our planking on the wall here. So we're gonna do a little bit more to the flooring, so I wanted it to kind of have a dark background so that whatever I put on top is going to pop. What I also was going to do is I was going to use a graining tool on this floor. This floor is very textured. It's plywood that was put in very, very rough. So I'm just going to go ahead and apply my glaze just like I did here on the back wall and wipe it back. So I'll show you real quickly what that's going to look like. Okay, I've got my blue ice, very thin, straight edge brush, and we're gonna do this small plank here together. So what I'm gonna do is take my glaze and hopefully not make a huge mess, and I'm just going to apply it to my plank. All right, so we're just gonna apply it generously to the plank, so let's get a little bit more on here. And we're going to work in small sections and hopefully we'll get the look we're wanting without having to plank our floors. Okay, let's see. And it's okay if you go outside the line. You're really going to want to end up outside the line anyway and kind of cover those lines a little bit. All right, so there we go. Now we're going to take a lint-free cloth and we're going to just wipe it back. So as this dries, it's going to dry much darker and we'll see the wood graining in the crevices that's left behind. Let me see, I'm going to go this way. So our idea is to make it look like real wood planks. So we'll let that dry and we're going to continue going. So I'm going to go ahead and continue finishing this plank here and then start on these, and we'll come back when these are nice and dry. Now I'm ready for my next step, and I'll show you the floor here in just a jiff. We're going to go ahead and do my favorite transfers. So I've grabbed a couple because I want a little bit of writing and a little bit of flowers, a little bit more writing. So we've got the Lush Floral 2, lots of flowers to choose from. I've got the Butterfly Botanic, which has lots of writing for me to choose from. Probably not going to use the butterfly on this one. And then this one, which is our Parisian butterflies, but it has a lot of writing. So I'll use those lettering and words on our flooring here. So what I'm going to do is, I know where my bench sits here in the fitting room. My mirror's back here. So I know where I'm not going to place flowers or transfers because I don't want them to be wasted in dead space that nobody's really going to see. There might be a few, but definitely not going to put my showstoppers there. But I do know that my entry here will be able to show some flowers. We're going to have a small rug in the middle, so I'm probably going to skip a lot of transfers in the middle, maybe a few. But let's go ahead and tilt down so you guys can see what we're working with and also see the start of our wood planks. We got some writing from our Parisian butterflies. I just cut a bit out. And I would suggest wearing knee pads when you're doing this because you're going to be on the floor quite a bit and it's going to be pretty rough on your body. So as always with my transfers, peel the paper backing off. Don't need that anymore. And we're going to place this, and I'm going to go for just, you know, this direction, and I'm just going to place it here and kind of smooth it out with your hands a little bit. And I'm going to take my transfer tool. Now, your transfer comes with a free transfer stick. It's like a giant oversized popsicle, and that will do just fine. So you don't have to use my transfer stick or tool. I just like this. Those of you that have watched know that this is my favorite tool after using a few. Okay, let's get this up. If you can't get it up, just use some tape. Sometimes will help pick that up. If you don't have fingernails to get it up. Sometimes, like I've said in the past, lettering can be a little hard because you've got really tiny bits with lots of halo around. So sometimes it wants to be a little bit finicky and stick to your piece. Or not to your piece, it'll stick to itself better. So we're going to continue going with this here. All right, so we'll continue this, and then I'll show you my next piece that I want to do. We've got our writing down, and I've already burnished it, so I'm not sure you guys can really see that as well on the camera. However, now I've started pulling my Lush Floral 2 pieces. Now, this came from one sheet, and this is on another. So what we're going to do is we want this to be kind of seeping out of the fitting room here onto the ramp, and then I'll have this here coming into the fitting room. So we're going to just go ahead and apply this one first, and there's a nice break so I don't have to worry about matching them up perfectly, so it won't be noticeable if it's not perfect, which is always great. You know, we always like to go for easy peasy here. So let's go ahead and get this guy pulled apart. So we pull our backing off as normal, and then we want to be very careful not to touch your floral parts. All right, so we're going to line this up right about there. Make sure to get it all on the edge. Okay, and I like to kind of press down a little bit so I can make sure that it's kind of staying where I want. Now remember, my floor is a little rough. It's going to take a little more elbow grease to get this onto the surface, but it will do what you want it to do. You just kind of have to really work on it, and be careful on these edges. So if you cut really close to an edge, you want to make sure you don't scratch your paint by taking your tool and scraping around, off of it. So you want to be very careful when you're doing that. And so just like our transfers, just burnish it. Let's see if we can get this one started. Let's see, there's a little edge right there. All right. Okay. All right, so just get it started, and then you can start to peel it back and check the progress. And if you happen to, let's say you're pulling this back and you rip this, just put it right back down, and when you burnish it, it'll go together and you won't even know that that happened. Now if you pull it off, your entire piece off, you'll have to do a little bit of maneuvering to get it just perfect. So it's always best to catch those kind of things before you rip the whole transfer top paper off. Otherwise, you'll be a little annoyed and disappointed. All right, so got a little halo right here, so you know how the halos like to stick to the transfer paper. Just kind of give them a little extra burnishing, and there is a little clear right here. Now you could totally cut that edge off right here, since we were going edge to edge. All right, we'll continue this. So we finished this and I varnished it. I usually take a cloth, a clean dry cloth, and just rub from the inside out to make sure we've got all the air bubbles. Remember, this is very textured flooring I have in here, so I want to make sure that it adheres and it's burnished into all the little texture that we have. So when I put my top coat to protect it, it doesn't pull it up. So we're going to go ahead and get this piece done on this side. So we'll cut out the pieces we don't need. And what I like about this particular one, it's a big transfer. It's a lot of stuff you get in here. There's 6 sheets in this one, and you get a lot of bang for your buck. So you get a lot of goodies, and it's great for beginner because you don't have to do one big piece. You're doing lots of little pieces, so you can kind of get familiar with how the transfers work, so you're not doing something overly gigantic. So we're gonna go ahead, pull our backing paper off again. And we want to make sure we line up so that the design is matching here and there. So we've got a nice match. There is a break here in the floor, so it's going to be a break there. Okay, so go ahead, and we're going to go ahead and apply this on. We'll apply a few more here in the fitting room, and then we'll be ready for our next and hopefully final step. We have all of our transfers that we want to put down on our wood floor or a faux plank floor. Now we're going to seal it. We are choosing to seal it with a high gloss Varathane, and it is a floor varnish, water based. We're going to give this a try. It was not very easy to pour, so it was not a pretty pour here. So let's go ahead and let's see if I can back this up just a tad. All right. Okay. So we are going to apply it with a roller. We're going to do very thin coats. And we're going to start in this very back corner here and start applying. And we are going to hope for the best. Very thin. And I hope this evens out. So we'll give this a try and see if it evens out for me. And if not, I may be using something else. But it is a quick dry product. We're using a very thin nap on our roller here. And I'm not pressing too much because I don't want to squeeze out too much excess. That's when you start getting orange peel. So I'm going to go ahead and continue covering the floor, and we'll show you how it turns out. For the floor, you could also use Country Chic Tough Coat for a satin finish. The Varathane polyurethane high gloss finish worked perfect for my project. I also ended up pouring it out onto the floor and using the roller to distribute it all over the flooring. It worked out much better as it's a very thin product. We hope you enjoyed this tutorial as much as we enjoyed creating it for you. And as always, happy painting!